beneath the warm, crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean Sea lives a truly remarkable creature. This is the hamlet fish, a small but vibrant inhabitant of the coral reef. At first glance, you might think you are looking at many different types of fish. One might be a brilliant sunny yellow, another could be a deep velvety black with striking blue spots. Yet another might display bold bars of black and white, perfectly camouflaged among the sea fans. These amazing patterns and colors are not just for show. They are central to the life of each fish, defining its existence in this bustling underwater city. It is a dazzling display of nature's artistry, painted across the living canvas of the reef. For a long time, scientists believed these differently colored hamlets were distinct species. This seemed logical. In the natural world, when animals look so different from one another, they are usually separate species. A barred hamlet with its zebra-like stripes would surely not be related to a butter hamlet, which glows with a pure uniform yellow. We have often relied on what our eyes can see to classify the great diversity of life on our planet. Each color pattern was thought to represent a unique evolutionary path, a separate branch on the tree of life that had grown apart from its cousins over millions of years. This assumption guided early research and our understanding of the reef's biodiversity. The hamlet fish live very specific lives, tied closely to their chosen color. A yellow hamlet tends to seek out other yellow hamlets. A black hamlet will look for another black hamlet. This behavior is called assortative mating, where like prefers like. It is a powerful force in nature, often driving the formation of new species by keeping different groups from interbreeding. It was this very behavior that reinforced the idea that each color form was its own species. They were acting just as separate species should, keeping to themselves and ensuring their unique colors were passed down to the next generation. It seemed to be a perfect textbook example of evolution in action. But the coral reef is a place of secrets, and the hamlet fish held one of the most puzzling secrets of all. While they looked and acted like separate species on the outside, something far more complex was happening beneath the surface. The visual differences were so clear, yet the story they told was not the whole truth. Researchers who decided to look deeper, beyond the colors and into the very genetic code of the fish, were about to make a discovery. This discovery would challenge our fundamental ideas about what it means to be a species and reveal just how ingenious and surprising nature can be in its methods. The mystery of the hamlet fish was only just beginning to unfold. To solve this puzzle, scientists embarked on a huge undertaking. They traveled across the Caribbean from the reefs of Panama to the waters of Belize and Florida. They carefully collected samples from hundreds of individual hamlet fish, representing all the different color patterns they could find. Their goal was to compare the DNA of these fish. The expectation was clear. The DNA of a barred hamlet should be significantly different from the DNA of a butter hamlet or a blue-spotted indigo hamlet. They were searching for large sections of the genetic code that would act as clear markers, separating each color form into its own distinct species category. This genetic evidence was meant to confirm what their eyes had been telling them all along. The results, however, were completely unexpected and left the researchers stunned. When they analyzed the DNA, they found that almost all of it was identical. The genomes of these vastly different-looking fish were nearly the same. A fish with bold black and white stripes had the same genetic blueprint as a fish that was a plain shimmering yellow. It was as if you looked at a lion and a tiger and found they had the same DNA. This discovery went against everything scientists thought they knew about speciation. The very foundation of defining a species based on broad genetic divergence was crumbling before their eyes. The hamlet fish were not cooperating with our neat and tidy rules of biology. This incredible genetic similarity posed a profound question. How can these fish look and act so differently if their DNA is almost entirely the same? It was a biological paradox. Normally, for such distinct traits to be maintained, there must be reproductive isolation, preventing genes from mixing between groups. Yet, here were animals that were, for all intents and purposes, one big genetic family. They were defying the biological species concept, which states that species are groups of animals that can breed with each other but are reproductively isolated from other groups. The hamlet fish were a single species that was, somehow, behaving like a dozen different ones. The scientists realized they had to change their approach. The answer was not in the whole genome, but perhaps hidden in a much smaller, more specific part of it. The search narrowed from looking at thousands of genes to looking for just one or two that might hold the key. It was no longer about finding vast differences that separated entire populations. Instead, it became a hunt for a tiny genetic switch, a specific instruction in the DNA that could create such magnificent diversity from a nearly uniform background. The investigation became a microscopic search for a master gene responsible for this beautiful and baffling spectacle on the reef. The intense search for this genetic switch finally led to a breakthrough. Scientists pinpointed a single incredibly important gene. It is called Cas1. This one gene turned out to be the master controller behind the hamlet fish's stunning variety of colors and patterns. In the bird hamlet, a specific version of the Cas1 gene creates its dramatic black and white stripes. In the butter hamlet, a different version of that very same gene results in its solid yellow appearance. It was an astonishingly simple solution to a very complex puzzle. One small region of DNA was acting like an artist's switch, changing the entire appearance of the fish with remarkable precision and power. But the Cas1 gene does more than just paint the fish. It also influences who they choose as a partner. The hamlets are guided by sight, and they are strongly attracted to mates that share their own color and pattern. A bird hamlet, with its Cas1 gene for stripes, actively seeks out another bird hamlet. This is because its mate preference is genetically linked to its own color. The same gene that gives it stripes also tells it to find a partner with stripes. This creates a powerful feedback loop, ensuring that these visual traits are passed down faithfully through the generations, even without the fish being a completely separate species. This discovery is extraordinary because it shows that speciation, the process of forming new species, doesn't always require massive genetic changes across the entire genome. Sometimes, a single gene can be enough to create a major division within a population. The Cas1 gene acts as a magic trait, a single feature that controls both an animal's appearance and its choice of mate. This keeps the color groups separate and distinct, mimicking the process of speciation. The hamlet fish are like a species in the making, caught in the very act of diverging, driven by the power of a single gene. This finding helps us understand so much more about the engine of evolution. It demonstrates that evolution can work in very focused and efficient ways. Instead of overhauling the entire genetic blueprint, nature can simply tweak one critical component to produce dramatic results. The Cas1 gene is like a key that unlocks a whole suite of behaviors and physical traits. It elegantly explains how the hamlet fish can be so diverse on the outside while remaining so similar on the inside. It is a beautiful example of how small genetic changes can have massive evolutionary consequences, creating diversity where we least expect it. The story of the hamlet fish is not entirely unique in the animal kingdom. We are now finding similar situations in other creatures, which forces us to look at nature with new eyes. In the Amazon rainforest, for example, different species of heliconius butterflies have brilliant wing patterns that warn predators they are poisonous. Scientists have discovered that these different patterns, which help define each species, are often controlled by just a handful of genes. Much like the hamlet fish, these butterflies use these color patterns to recognize and select their mates, keeping the species lines distinct despite sharing much of their DNA with their close relatives. Even in the world of birds, we see this pattern. Darwin's famous finches of the Galapagos Islands, long held as a classic example of evolution, have their own genetic secrets. We now know that a single gene, known as ALX1, plays a crucial role in shaping their beaks. This one gene helps determine whether a finch will have a beak for crushing seeds or one for probing insects. This small genetic difference influences what they eat and in turn keeps the different finch populations on their separate evolutionary paths. From fish to insects to birds, it seems that major evolutionary leaps can sometimes be driven by these small, powerful genetic switches. These discoveries have a profound impact on science and our understanding of biodiversity. They challenge the traditional definition of a species as a group that is reproductively isolated by large-scale genetic differences. The hamlet fish show us that the lines can be much blurrier. Nature is not always neat and tidy. It is often messy, complex, and full of exceptions. It suggests that the path to becoming a new species can be a gradual process where a single gene can create deep divisions in behavior and appearance long before the rest of the genome has had a chance to catch up. Ultimately, the hamlet fish teaches us a lesson in humility. It reminds us that our planet is full of wonders that still defy our expectations. Every time we think we have understood the rules of nature, an animal like the hamlet fish comes along to show us that there is always more to learn. This ongoing discovery is what makes the study of the natural world so exciting. It encourages us to keep looking, to keep questioning, and to appreciate the incredible and often surprising ingenuity of evolution. The vibrant hamlet fish, in all its colorful glory, is a testament to the endless beauty and complexity of life on Earth.